segging in neatly to where Anna left us was, there's no surprise, things are going to take longer, all right? So instead of resist this, particularly for the first few weeks, but even beyond that, we are embracing slow dentistry, all right? So we understand that it's not going to be quite as efficient and quite as profitable as it was before, but that's what our COVID business interruption loan is for, all right, amongst other things. It's to give us some breathing space, let's figure things out, let's get up to speed, and when we're ready to, the way we're switching surgeries will allow the clinicians to be efficient, all right? But there's no rush to get there, is the point, all right? So and it's been very helpful in making me understand that these things should be done, in a little stepwise to avoid the stress or panicking. So yeah, we're going to take it nice and easy, all right? So we've got a new business model, basically, yeah? Everything's going to work a little bit differently. In terms of who's going to pay for the PPE, if you were listening to people out there in the forums, there are people who are making the clinicians pay for it and the associates pay for it by reducing their thing, and we're not doing that. There are people who are asking the patients to pay for it, and I'm committed at this time not to ask our existing patients to do that. When we know what the business model looks like, then we might have to charge differently moving forward, but I don't want to do it to people who are already with us, if possible. And bottom line, guys, is that, as you've seen, this is our opportunity to build a dental practice that works for us, right? And that isn't just the clinical bits that we've just seen here, but, you remember how we used to work? It's pretty flat out, right? So, that isn't possible now. So let's just build a different way. Little things which I don't know if Anna mentioned, but a 6-hour shift is great, but I don't know about you, but we can't drink coffee in that time period, and you can't eat. So therefore we will be implementing a coffee or tea break, okay? After a 3-hour, yeah. And a wee, if you're going to be in if you're doing an AGE, so sensible things, all right? So that's the point as well. Things like that. So as it builds, let's all have feedback and build within reason a kind of practice that works for us first and foremost and for our patients, and then we can continue doing that moving forward, all right? Because what I've said in some of the lectures and stuff is that this is our single opportunity to rebuild our business, isn't it? So let's do it for how we want to as well. So another challenge we're going to have is what I call onboarding. So if you remember, onboarding is sort of where in IT, for example, they have to teach you how things happen, all right? So we'll have to re-onboard our patients a bit, won't we? There are lots of changes that they will have to get used to. I have already sent my first email out, but there'll be more to come. And as ever, the reason we're training you in this format is because it takes 7 bits of information to land in your brain before it sticks, right? So same with you guys. So we will be telling them about social distancing, we'll be telling them about PPE, we'll be telling them that things are going to take longer, okay? And our best excuse for everything we're doing is COVID, all right? So you need to remind them when anything's happening, COVID. Why can't you call a practice? So do you know about our new incoming communication system?
Yeah, with the smile, mate, is it?
Yeah, no, more than that. So our worry was that, let's just imagine that on the 8th of June, our phones are on. What would that look like? It would be revolting, okay? So that would be a mistake and that would be stupid. So I decided that was the end of incoming communications in that format. So we've re-recorded a message that says something let me dig it up. Might even be here. Welcome to the Courtyard. Following the coronavirus pandemic, excuse for everything, we have made the decision to change the way we manage incoming communications. We would ask that wherever possible you make initial contact via our email on info@courtyardacademy.co.uk. This will allow the right member of our 5-person reception team to deal with your inquiry quickly and efficiently. If you do wish to leave a message, you are welcome to do so after the tone, clearly stating your full name and contact telephone number. Many thanks, and we look forward to assisting you. All right? What that means is we will never have to answer a phone on reception ever again in our lives. It's good, right? So it means that when that message comes through, whether they leave an answer machine or do an info, that the right person of our 5-person communication team can get to it. So if it's I want to rebook my appointment, fine. Then one of the reception ags or Gabs will deal with that. If it is, I'm a new inquiry to the practice, then TCO team will get on it. And the beautiful thing about that is that when they take that call for the very first time, they can manage that patient from end to end. all right? So they can book them in, they can book them in their own diary. They already have triaged them right through to when they come in to see me for clinical treatment, all right? So before we obviously had kind of different stops, didn't we? It'll be picked up by the girls on reception, it'll be booked in a TCO diary, and then da-da-da-da. So now the same TCO can pick it up and handle it all the way through, which is pretty cool. But it was invented so that we don't have to respond to patient issues on their terms while we're still on the phone, and it will create so many efficiencies. So, you know, compare Mrs. Jones thing, calling up saying, I want to reschedule my appointment, 5 to 10 minute phone call ensues, right? And in the meantime, 6 people can't get through, all right? Just rubbish. So that's a big change there, all right? So where were we, strictly speaking? We were on patient onboarding. So yeah, lots of new stuff. So that's one thing, the way patients are going to communicate with us. The second thing is how they're going to pass through the building. The third thing is lead times, okay? We always had challenging lead times, but now we have a good excuse for challenging lead times, all right? And the good news is, yeah, they're longer. And the good news is there's no one can do it quicker in the whole country, so it doesn't matter, all right? It is what it is. And even when we have to tell patients who were booked in for 10 veneer preps on the 27th of March that we can't see them until July, the good news is they are still at the front of that queue, and it's a growing queue. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. So we can have, as ever, we can have confidence that that's the way it is.
I'm not going, I just need to change it.
It's all right, my love. Yeah, we've got a close team, haven't we? Yeah? So we all know, I think our methods of communication internally are getting better and better all the time. Yeah, you've seen the development of the little WhatsApp groups we're doing departmentally. What you're seeing now is we've got this new, this practice partner's grown while you've been away, all right? So she's getting bossier and chattier. No, but jokes aside, we've been working incredibly well together over the last 10 weeks, really, really hard. And it's like yin and yang. I go one way, she pulls me back. It creates perfect tension, all right? So, you know...
Perfect marriage, isn't it?
Perfect marriage. It's the same as any good marriage. So,
same name.
yeah, we've got regular communication with all of our beautiful, highly skilled, close-knit team, and it's going to be embedded in the schedule, all right? So particularly in the first few weeks, but ongoing, we want to make sure there's opportunities to sort of catch up and make sure everyone's all right with things, all right? And the same thing is, it's a working plan, all right? It's our first plan. It's V1, all right? And we will modify it. And one thing I'm proud of with the shift system and stuff like that is we can tweak it, we can bolt more on, we can bolt other clinicians on who don't currently work here if they want to help us with the workload. It is not just our responsibility to handle that workload. Once the framework's in place, if other people want to come and do things, then it's going to be really easy for that to happen. All right? The practice is now effectively a hospital. You know, have you got that vision in your head now? Yeah. So anything that administratively happens off-site, and obviously the clinicians that are working there. So whatever it is, hospitals have close teams. All right. They have a comms team, they have a clinical team, they've got management, they've got owners, and we will resemble that. And you know, when you're working, and then you go home and you rest at the end of your 6 hours, unless you're doing a back-to-back kind of thing. So that's the mental picture to paint in your head. And all the challenging things that Anna's discussed, we'll get used to, you know, and it'll just become normal, you know. And it's just one of my key phrases used to be a period of adaptation. Yeah. When we're going through that, it'll hurt our heads a bit and we'll be like, oh, what do I do here? And then it'll sing. So some of the infrastructure of the AGE and non-AGE, I just wanted to show, I had to call Kirsty this morning and move one of hers along because we found that there's only 2 scenarios that allow us to rotate surgeries the way we are. Before I go into that, not all practices are doing it like we are. Some are just accepting the fact that the clinician will have an hour he can't use his surgery in, and then he or she is going off to do different things, whether that would be a checkup or something in another room. But we've obviously taken the view that we're going to maximize the clinician's time and use the surgeries by rotating. Okay, and I think that's quite unique, and the way that we've got enough surgeries that we can do that. All right, and the way it works is if we have 2 because we've got 5 rooms. So if we've got 2 clinicians doing AGEs, they each need another room each. Yeah, and it means we can only then have one more non-AGE go in. Understood? That's scenario one. The other one is that we have one clinician doing AGE, needs 2 rooms, and then we can have 3 non-AGEs going. Got it?
Yeah.
I did the maths pre-COVID and now, and it's about a 50% split of AGE and non-AGE. So that's the way we've maintained it now.
And we're also lucky we've got the waiting space.
And we're also lucky that we've got a massive grade 2 listed building where people can sit and not have social distancing challenges. And that's all mapped out. So, the checkup model. Can I tell you about our checkup model? I've been busy breaking the status quo with our checkups. So, for as long as we can remember, checkup and hygiene were kind of glued together. Yeah. Over our career, Kirsty, it become a hygiene-led appointment, didn't it?
Yeah.
And now, for a couple of reasons, we just felt that, I just tried to look at different ways of building it, because the assumption is if the clinician's covered in blues, then they should batching. We should really, really commit to batching, shouldn't we? And zoning. And if a clinician's doing one thing, they should just do that one thing. Get it off, move somewhere else, and mess with your head, right? So our checkup books, that's what we're doing, and therefore, if we could even batch the checkup effectively, then that would be helpful. So what we're coming up with is instead of having 2 checkups, we're going to have an annual review, all right? But that annual review is 20 minutes, not 10, okay? And that gives the clinician more time to do a really comprehensive conversation and consultation effectively with the patient. They're going to scan everyone into the iTero, and that is so that we can do better digital triage moving forward. So if the patient then calls up and says, I've broken my upper right 6, then all that needs to happen is that we bring up their thingy on screen and have a little look at them. Let me just help you visualize that. So the idea is that the value to the patient is the same because they're getting the same amount of minutes with everyone. In fact, they're getting more with you, aren't they, Kirsty?
Yeah. So 20-minute scan with the dentist, iTero, yeah, and
Yeah.
comprehensive
And
check.
the fast forward of this is, as ever, in terms of onboarding, we're going to have to explain to our patients why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And why we're doing this is because...
that's yearly.
Yeah, that's yearly. It just minimises visits, and that is healthy. Yeah, I mean that is.
Will that include X-rays as well?
Yeah, of course it will. Yes,
Yeah.
everything that would ever happen. And as you know, NICE guidelines for a very long time have asked for a bespoke checkup period, and that an annual checkup recall period is acceptable. And then we've got the data we need. Yeah, they're still coming in for their hygiene recall period as before. We will prescribe for the next 12 months effectively the recall period for their hygiene. So it's smart in that respect.
So they're still getting 2 30-minute hygiene.
Yeah, or whatever we prescribe. But instead of it being, and we all know that the way the checkup ended up being was 2 minutes in and out, poke the gums and leave, So this is, you're getting a proper one. And what I'm excited to find out is what that allows us to have conversations with our patients. All right. So watch this. See that?
Yeah.
That's my father-in-law, right? So let's just imagine, Martha.
Nice those teeth.
I know. Poor him. He's not seen you for a long time either, Kirsty.
I bet he's loving it.
He might be loving it, but he won't be loving it when he comes back, will he? So let's just say he calls, writes an email and says, I've broken this one. Well, he just says, my upper right 6 is sore. And Sarah Mann goes, okay, no problems. I'm going to go into my iTero and have a look for you. And we have a little look and go, oh my goodness, she's seen better days. All right, I'll bring it to Marcus Lorana's attention and they can look at your x-rays and come back with some suggestions. All right, so that's digital triage. So by uploading our entire patient base into the cloud in this manner, it allows us to manage them better moving forward. And what it's saying is that the current status quo is that someone comes in and says, I've broken my tooth and my tooth hurts. That's not helping me. Now I've got to send you home anyway. You know what I mean? So isn't it better if I can know these things in advance and plan so that you come to the AGE appropriately? You with me? So it's really based on that fact that you coming in for a 5-10 minute checkup to tell me you have a problem to then be sent away again seems futile. So the idea is that we can help triage patients better when they call us.
Yeah, because even with just with a therapist, for instance, with your father-in-law, he would definitely need an ultrasonic. And if he rang up and said, "Oh, I have lost that filling on the upper right 5,"
Yeah.
then I would be able to basically batch that with a deep clean, with a fill-in,
Yeah.
without even having a prescription because I'm direct access.
You got it. You've either seen my lecture or you've got it in your head. So yeah, it's about the separation of AG and non-AG, about batching, and about if you did break this, then we're going to go, oh my God, need some ultrasonic. Let's fix this. Actually, what do the other two teeth next do? Shall we do a quadrant dentistry plus a scale? Let's batch it. Let's stabilize you, etc. All right. So it's about looking at that, because it's what I call, it's the end of ad hoc knee-jerk dentistry. Yeah.
Yeah.
The NHS invented, and that has just stopped. No, we're not just going to fix it now. And in fact, we're not even going to plan it now. We're going to have a look at you and come up with some decisions. Yeah.
But by having that information as well, my nurse would be able to get out all the stuff I need, all my hand instruments, all my ultrasonics, all my fill-in stuff.
Yeah.
And then would you consent before they even came in? But what if they didn't have it? Would it be just it?
Yeah. So the phrase we've given birth to is pre is key. Yeah. So imagine everything we're doing now is in advance. The estimates, the consent, the discussions, all the planning.
Even the prescription for me from you, that can also be done digitally, I guess.
You got it. So because doing things in advance is the way forward, you have to be organised. You know what I mean? And you can't just do it on a limb. Otherwise, when we do focus on the business model again, we need to make sure that we can do these things properly and in an organised fashion. Yeah. So what's great, Kirsty, is that you're buying into it. You know what I mean? Because we'll have to tell patients why what they're used to is changing. And it's great just to say because of COVID, but we're saying no, this will care for you better, because we can then, and none of our 1,500 patients have had these kind of scans for actual monitoring purposes. You know what I mean? They've had it because they're having treatment, but to have this as a record and for us to then be able to do this annually and do comparative things with it, it's just going to be cool. All right. It's what we want to do for ages. We've got the opportunity now, and I think they'll see the value. And I truly believe that when they come in and see this, they'll go, to see to me again, Anna and Jess, for what will feel like a really, really comprehensive 20-minute examination. And then even there and then,
making everyone do what we thought we should have done anyway.
Exactly. So and in that consultation, they'll go, no, I do want those doing, and we'll go, okay, we'll batch it out. Okay, it might be in 6 months, it might be, if it's not urgent, but let's plan it properly. And 20 minutes will let us do that. Yeah. So that's quite exciting. Let me get back to my notes, and we'll stop this share. But I'm glad you bought into that. So then what do we got? Yeah, that's really it. And what that understands is that therefore, because it is challenging fitting those bits of the jigsaw puzzle into the diary at the minute. So when we tell the patients that, look, because of the way we're doing things, it's kind of arbitrary when your annual checkup is. It's not connected to your hygiene appointments anymore. You with me? Yeah. So your hygiene appointments will be 6 months apart, but it doesn't matter if the checkup is in between, one end, doesn't matter at all. It's just in the year. You with me? And that will help them understand that, no, we're just looking at you, having a really good chat and planning for your next year of treatment and seeing how you are. All right. So yeah, we're really looking forward to sort of, like I say, giving that value back to the patients who stayed with us and kept us going and have been patient. It should really feel like they're getting value back, I think. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
They're the majority of things from me on my little list. There'll be others, but do you have any questions?
No, I think I've asked mine throughout. I think, like I said, for me, it's just getting my head around the patient journey, really, and just being confident that obviously all my consents are all done, but that'll all be done prior to. What if, like, a patient can't do it?
They can. Yeah, I just spoke to, they can, but that will be reception's job to provide tech support when that's an issue. And even if we send it to their phone when they're with us, that's still okay. A worst case scenario. But I just spoke to a patient, she's 76, she's got a phone, she's got email, everybody has it. But they need to get it now because it's a digital world and you don't touch paper or pens anymore.
Yeah. I think for me, it'll just be when things pop up and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do in this situation. So that'll be, so there'll always be someone in decom.
Yeah.
And there's a runner nurse that basically will be very tired.
Well, yeah, we haven't. I tried to flesh it out, and it hurt my head. But it may even be that that's why the runner suggests that she's dashing about. The buddy nurse suggests that it's actually attached to the AGE room, yeah, and that you just have a dedicated buddy nurse while you're having that procedure. A bit like having a dirty nurse and you know.
Oh, right. So you'll have a nurse, clinical nurse, who's basically aspirating and sorting materials,
and someone else who's just there for you. Yeah.
Right, and then there's someone in decom.
Yeah,
right.
So I tried to see if we could attach it directly, but we'll just see how it runs. But there is a high likelihood that it will feel like that.
And will there be two APG surgeries at one time, or
at a maximum? Yeah, yeah. So he'll be very dedicated to that. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, you did well. You don't look too melted, do they?
I've got a real headache.
Yeah, mine was easy. It was nearly as long as Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Anna, it's horrible to you, isn't he?
That wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh, no, it was very informative. Thank you. And it's basically, it's put it into a document where we can understand it. And
yeah, I've got one thing left to read, which is my distillation of the 60 pages that we're going to use to help reception and patients understand it effectively. So it reads like this. So it just explains that the aerosol generating procedures are now higher risk and require enhanced PPE and an hour clean down time between appointments. So what I'm about to read you will probably go in some format into an email to patients, okay? Particularly just as we go into booking them. Here is our risk benefit matrix per treatment type. Checkups, low risk, high benefit, get it booked. Hygiene sessions, these would need to be hand scaled to ensure they remain a non-AGE for the time being, low risk, high benefit. 3, new patient consultations, same, low risk, high benefit. And then we move on to what the girls are currently booking in, which is resolution of issues that presented during the pandemic that are causing pain or where no intervention may cause morbidity, more complex treatment being required, and oral health risks. So they are moderate risk, but high benefit, yeah? And all that element of treatment is at this stage deemed essential, okay? The next section of treatment that's also deemed essential is the completion of patients in treatment. So the long-term presence of temporary restorations on dentition and or implants create theoretical and practical risks to maintaining hygiene. These risks could cause detriment to the teeth or implants supporting them, and the increased risk of additional or repeat treatment as a result of this scenario makes it clear that completion of these patients be defined as essential treatment, okay? So bottom line, if they're in treatment, it's no longer acceptable that we just leave them there, all right? Because it's bad for their health. So they are therefore essential treatment and they get booked in. The ones that we aren't booking in yet, well, until July the 1st, is commencement of elective treatments. Patients who wish to have elective treatment will be advised that this be postponed until one of the 2 following criteria are met. We move into stage 3, as per the SOP, whereupon the risk is lowered, or we've embedded new protocols and SOPs in such a way and appraised them that they minimize the risk to a quantifiable and acceptable level. And in the next bit, I mentioned the phrase, so where the patient meets our health and demographic risk assessment and is treated under our universal SOP, we would then see no barrier to treatment, all right? So what we're basically saying is, look, if they're young and we know we're good at it, then the risk is mitigated, yeah? And even though it's not a particularly essential treatment in those terms, we know that we've decreased or mitigated the risk to a level that we go, it's okay now. You with me? And that is a distillation of it. Any questions on that? Was it clearer or more confusing?
No, that's clear. So basically, we're sorting out the immediate stuff, and then eventually we'll be able to get into the elected.
Completely low risk stuff, book in. Broken stuff, book in because it's bad for their health. Stuff we're in the middle of, booking because it's bad for their health. New stuff, wait till we're a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. And people are surely going to understand that.
It's logical. All right. We both appreciate your time and energy and being part of the training video. And you don't have to rewatch yourselves. That's the good news.
What I was going to just ask, can that document that Anna read out, can you email it me or so that I can print it out so I've got those tables?
We'll put it on WhatsApp.
Lovely.
They're all in the SOP anyway, but we'll put the summary on WhatsApp for people.
Yeah, just so that I can print it out and look at those tables.
I'll correct the spelling mistakes.
No need.
I probably didn't even notice.
Right.
Let's go straight on.
Well done, girls.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.